But here's something that a friend of mine sent me that said in the next president is going to have a potential of electing anywhere from 2 to 5 Supreme Court justices. Ginsburg is 82 years old, Kennedy is 80, Breyer is 77, Thomas is 67, and statistics show that the average age of a Supreme Court justice is 75. So over the next 4 to 8 years, that would mean that up to 5 vacancies could be filled. If the president appoints young justices, this means that for the next 40 or 50 years, the thing could be stacked 7-2.
Well, let me jump right on that for a minute, because just recently the court has not started this new term; it just finished this last term, and we have for a number of years now been making great progress on the life issue, and we're getting closer and closer and closer. And suddenly, this Supreme Court, with Scalia gone off, it did a about face in the last 4 years. Each of the last 4 years, we have passed record numbers of pro-life laws at the state legislatures. And so it's probably now over 4 years, probably in the vicinity of 300 to 400 laws we passed that are pro-life. Abortion numbers are dropping dramatically. Yeah. It's all going the right way. And now the Supreme Court says, whoa, all the states, you're wrong. We want to go the other direction. And that's just one example.
Because Scalia
Scalia's not there. And the next president will have Scalia's position to fill, and possibly several others that come up. And Scalia's position to be filled by another Scalia-type, God-fearing conservative just keeps us status quo. If we lose Scalia's position and it goes the opposite direction, it may be 30, 40 years before you see pro-life laws going through again. And that's ridiculous. But that's what's at stake. Before Scalia left, it was a 5-4 decision by the U.S. Supreme Court on 2 occasions that, all right, the Second Amendment, we will let you privately keep guns. Scalia's gone. Now someone opposite philosophy comes in by a 5-4 margin, you lose the Second Amendment. The rights of conscience, we had 7 cases in the Supreme Court this year on the rights of conscience. Religious conscience, does a Christian have a right to live out his faith in public? 5-4, we lost some, we won some, and some were tied because Scalia wasn't there. So the ability for a Christian to express their faith publicly, live out their faith, we could lose that for the next 30 to 40 years. Consider yourself living in Cuba or somewhere in the Middle East or in France or Germany where you can't live out your faith. There is a lot at stake in this election.
This may be the most important election in my lifetime.
Well, we've said that every time, and every time it's become more important because Christians didn't do what they should have done each time before. And because Christians have not done what they should have done coming along the way, we're now at a point where we're looking at the precipice of the cliff, our foot's dangling out there over space. I don't like the candidates. I don't like the lifestyles of either one. I don't like their positions. Neither one is a Bible-believing evangelical Christian. Don't like what I've got. Okay, temporary timeout. The Bible says, Proverbs 14:34, that righteousness exalts a nation. How do you measure righteousness? God's standards. How do you get God's standards in a nation? In Isaiah, at the time of Isaiah, Manasseh was the king. He's the most wicked king in Judah's history. So Isaiah's there, and Isaiah having a conversation, and God says, look, I'm going to bring this people back to me. It's going to be a bit, but I'm going to bring them back. Here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to give you judges as at the beginning and lawyers as at the first, and then you'll be called the nation of righteousness. And so God ties the righteousness of the nation to the type of judges you have in the nation. Now, if we want righteousness to exalt a nation, it's not the presidents per se that will do it. It will be the judges that do it. We were just talking about the decisions from the court. So let's just ignore anything about the 2 candidates except what would they do with judges? Because if that's the key to righteousness, what will they do? On the one side, Hillary has said, I will only appoint pro-abortion judges, no options. On the other side, Trump has said, I'll only appoint pro-life judges. And by the way, here's the list of 11 that I would appoint. Now, that list of 11, I could have chosen that list. I mean, that's the guys I believe in. I'm very involved in that arena because he went to the Federalist Society, one of the most conservative, constitutional, judicial organizations out there, and that's who Trump is looking to choose his judges. Now, if I say I don't care about anything else in the election, I don't care what happens anywhere else, and I look at that, my decision's
Yeah.
made for me.
Yeah, Trump has said that he would use the Federalist Society and the Heritage
Jim
Foundation
DeMint and those guys at Heritage.
to vet the Supreme Court nominations.